Yo, yo, what's going on, drone launch fam? I am David Young, founder of Drone Launch Academy. If I've not met you before, thank you for coming on this evening to our Drone Launch Academy State of the Drone Industry Live. Happy you're here with us this evening. If you are interested in what the drone industry is going to look like into 2025, this is the place for you to be. We got some fun stuff for you tonight. The most exciting of all is we're going to give away an Air 3S at the end of this. So we had a sign up going around for that. You get extra points if you shared it and other people signed up. So I saw people sharing that around. So we'll get to that at the end. We also sent around a survey, which I know kind of sucks. I don't like it when companies message me and be like, hey, give us your feedback. Tell us your survey. I'm like, I don't really care. But we sent one out in hopes that you would share with us your drone goals, where you're at, how things are going, so that we could compile it and share it here with all of you. So luckily, we did have about 200 of you, thankfully, fill that out without any form of, we didn't offer anything in return. I'm sorry. I should have been like, hey, here's a little extra something if you fill that out. But I do really appreciate the 200 people that took the time to fill that out. So I will share some of the results. It was interesting. So basically, people shared how much money they were making, if they were doing full-time, part-time drone business, something else, what their challenges were. So I was just at Starbucks for like several hours going through every response and categorizing things so that I could sum it up for you and show you some of the results. So if you're one of those who contributed, I appreciate it. We also are going to hear from some industry experts / Drone Launch Academy instructors. I see them popping in here. I forgot to send some of them a calendar invite, but Dom, I see him in the waiting room. He's here. He's ready to roll. Sinue's here. Root Patel's getting on a little bit later. And then we might have Juan. I can never say his last name right. Luxy Drone Juan. He does FPV stuff. He's actually doing FPV for the F1 race in Las Vegas tonight, which is pretty sick. But he said he'd try to pop on for like 10 minutes if he can to give us a little FPV update. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my slides. Let's introduce some people real quick, actually. So I'm going to bring Dom up here and Sinue. They're the only two other folks that are in here yet. I told the others they could show up around 8:30. But Dom, Sinue, say hey, maybe give a little intro for yourselves, and then I'll pull you up back in later after I go through some of the survey results to talk about your industry stuff. But maybe just give some intros as to who you are. Dom, you look very confused. What's going on?
Dude, I'm trying to get into this comments, and it's telling me to connect my YouTube account, but then it wants to manage my YouTube account.
Oh,
I'm like, no, I don't want you to
well,
do
anyone.
that.
This is Dom Wilkerson.
Hi.
Introduce yourself, Dom. Talk about what
Hi.
you do just a little bit.
Yes, hi, I'm Dom. I do a lot of real estate photography. I've been doing it for the past 6 years. I have the course with Drone Launch Academy. Some of you guys might be taking it. I hope I'm educational enough for you. Try to keep it simple, but at the same time help you grow. I don't know. I live up in the Pacific Northwest. Military vet, Air Force vet. 8.5 years, broke my leg too many times, so they were like, "Nah, you got to get out." It's like, "All right, cool, whatever you say." But I'm much happier now. I have 11 chickens, 1 turkey, 2 dogs, 1 cat.
1 turkey?
I have a turkey.
Get out of here.
Not for long, he doesn't.
No, that turkey. That is so. My house is a halfway house for poultry, I guess you could say. Every single chicken that I've got has been from a real estate listing, and so
Really?
the turkey, yes. And so it started out. The very first one came from a land listing. Guy just like moved to Montana, left his chickens. Flock got taken out by coyotes. Single chicken came home with me. She's a warrior. I should have named her Xena. And then more and more people knew I had chickens, and more listings were like, "Oh shit, we don't." I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. We did. What do you call that? We don't have homes for them, and so I have about 5 different sets of flocks, to include this very last one, which was a turkey, chicken, and a duck. And I refuse to take the ducks because ducks are bad to chickens. And so the chicken and the turkey came with me, and they're like my best friends. And then they adopted my 3 new chicks. So it's an interracial couple.
Dom is partially real estate media business owner and partial poultry. I don't know what you call that. halfway house. You said
A
groomer,
chicken tender.
chicken tender. Nice. Despite on the side of his poultry efforts, he also runs an extremely successful real estate media company in the Pacific Northwest and knows lots about real estate.
Somehow this is my best year.
No, really?
Yeah, I've already beat 2022, and I don't understand how, but I'm accepting it.
Because you're great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to. I was going to ask you how much, but I don't want to put you on the spot too much.
Oh,
That's okay.
So far 400. So
$400,
yeah, $400.
dude. That's
Enough for a
wild.
Big Mac and extra cheese.
See, I do this sometimes, and I think, gosh, I should just do what Don does instead of my business. That's okay. All right. So we'll talk, but Don, you work very hard. You're great at building the team, and we'll talk more about real estate in a sec. All right, Sinue, give yourself a little introduction here.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Sinue Montoya. I run a company called Drone Quote. I too was in the military. Not quite as smart as Dom. I was in the Army.
No, look, I went security forces. That was 32 on the ASVAB, okay? We did that so that Army can join us.
Hey, smart enough to join the Air Force, though, man. I didn't even think about it. I wanted to have a man's job. No, I'm just kidding. I just had to take that slight jab.
Take it. But did you know that I got paid extra $500 to be on an Army fob?
I've heard about that.
Because it was not up to the quality of life living standards.
Better food, better
it's not
accommodation,
a beer, I promise.
Better women. It was
You know.
All right, Sinue, talk about what you do with drones.
David's trying to cut us off, David. I work in the solar and roofing industry, and we use drones to source data from sites. And I started using drones in 2013 when I didn't like getting on roofs. I found it to be rather efficient, and it made me help me sell a lot more. Hey there, Root. And since then, I realized that there was a big opportunity in continuing to use drones in this industry. So in 2017, that's when Drone Quote started, and then I had the fortune of meeting David and everybody else that associates with him. So here I am.
Sweet. Is my camera okay, or does this look weird?
You're freezing.
Ah, bummer. All right. Well, you can hear me okay. Hopefully that clears up. I can always try to turn it off and back on. All right, Root, we're just doing some quick introductions, and then I'll bring you guys up later to talk about your industries. I might turn my camera back off and back on, but go ahead. You introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Root Patel, and I am the president of Voyager Industries. I started this company about 7 years ago, and we specialize in using drones for performing engineering tasks. We started from roof inspection all the way into digital twin, surveying, utility, any field you can think of. And I had a pleasure of working with David many times, and recently we worked on making a course for mapping and modeling. So I'm very excited, and very excited to see you all.
Yeah, Root has had so much different experience with mapping. Hopefully my camera's better now. I don't know. Does it look any better?
It looks like it's on an iPhone.
It's not. It's on a nice Canon. That's okay. All right. No, Root's done like mapping jobs in like different continents and has worked in energy, has worked railroads, has worked in survey, LiDAR, construction, you name it. He's mapped it. So he's going to have a good insights there for us. All right. Sorry that if my camera is being weird. All right. Well, hopefully you can still hear me. Let's pull up the old slides to keep us in order here. So I'm mainly using this to show you guys some of the results of the survey that the 200 of you were kind enough to fill out. So you can see what's going on. Can you guys see my slides okay, or is that being funky too?
We can't see it.
What?
It's got that North Korean internet.
Dude, hold on. Give me a minute. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to switch my internet connection. In the meantime, why don't we just move into Dominic? Tell us about real estate. We'll just jump right into one of the industry updates. So Dominic, what do you think? How has real estate gone for you in 2024? What do you think it's going to be like in 2025? Specifically, real estate media, people that are trying to be service providers in that area. And then you could talk a little about what they could do to position themselves for success while I'm trying to sort out my issues over here?
Okay, so we're gonna have to go back a little bit further than that. Back to 2023, whenever the interest rates kind of like started rising, the market kind of like just like crapped the bed underneath me, basically. But at the same time, I built my business big enough to where I had 500 clients, to where some of those people who weren't busy stayed busy, or those people. How do I say this right? I had enough people to keep me busy, and so that was nice and everything like that. But fast forward to 2024, it started getting a little bit better. I think a lot of people started understanding that 6% was kind of like a rate that we're just going to be staying at. And so a lot more houses were selling. A lot of my luxury houses haven't been around. I could also mark that I still do a lot of luxury houses, but not as many as I did in 2023. So it could be because of the finance rates and everything like that. I did have a big client leave me, and I thought that was going to hurt my business big time because she was 24% of my client base or of my invoices. And I gained, once she left, I gained 50% more clients back. And so I'm bigger now than what I was before. But now, instead of my top client being 24%, my top 15 clients are all, equal to each other, which is really nice. And so not having all your eggs in one basket is actually very, very nice. I just got back from Vegas. PMRE was down there. It was a 3-day real estate photography conference, media photography, real estate media conference. Got to hang out with a bunch of individuals, industry leaders, and everything like that. And I think some of the biggest things that we have coming up is possibly the implement. See, this is the Air Force. I can't speak right. Um, Using AI for our business, and that could go into anywhere from like the editing to business management, which is kind of cool. But that was one of the biggest takeaways from there. But I don't know, for like the industry, there's still so much room for other people who are out there. There are so many agents out there that still don't use professional photography and videography and everything to include drones and stuff. So yeah,
Am I back here now, or is this still bad?
no, you're great.
Okay, good. I switched internet connections. If for the folks in on here who are like, I'm real interested in media, in real estate media. One of
Yep.
the things I hear all the time, Dom, and you're gonna, I
Mhm.
don't know this because you're in it, I'm not. They're like, I don't like working with real estate agents. They're
I don't.
cheap and they just want everything now and they don't ever want to pay. You've clearly cracked some type of code on this because you do very well
Mhm.
and you even were able to survive, a bad real estate environment last year.
Mhm.
Um, I guess, what do you think was the reason that you're successful and that you don't necessarily complain about, or I don't hear that from you? Is it that you're just really good and people want to use you? Is it something else that you do? Like, what do you think it is?
It's
Do
not
you drink
beer.
your bonsai water?
It is delicious. It's amazing. Someone was asking what beer it was.
Oh,
I have to say, I started out with an a la carte system, and so I could be one of the cheapest people, or I could be one of the more expensive people. It all depends on how many different services these people want. Agents all have a budget. Some of them are a little bit cheaper. So, say like if they aim for smaller homes, but they try to do volume, so they try to do, instead of one house that will bring them in $30,000, they'll do 5 houses that will bring them in $30,000. So they might have a $6,000 income with that house, and so $1,000 photo shoot might be more expensive for them in comparison to someone who's getting 30,000 for one house. And so I focus a lot on like higher producing agents. Um, I do have some newer agents. I do have some people who only use me for photos, and that actually really helps whenever I'm bringing in new clients, new not new clients, but new photographers, so that they can go do those while I focus on the big listings. But besides that, It's honestly availability is one of the biggest things, and being easy to work with, and being clear and concise on your pricing. I don't chase the market down, even though I did. I lowered my photo prices this year for a simple reason. Not because there was cheaper people around me, but I was at $11 a photo. I
Okay.
wanted it simple, and I brought it down to 10 so I can easily quote how much it would be for 25 photos.
And did that hurt you at all?
No,
No.
it didn't. Because other prices did go up, like my video.
Yeah.
But I added more value to a lot of the things that I added more value to some of the services that I did, which allowed me to raise the prices on them.
So you found that sort of having a bunch of different options for people and
Mhm.
being like a little bit more a la carte kind of allowed you to build more, I don't know, upsells is probably the wrong word, but add-ons that people
Yeah,
can
pretty
use.
much.
Yeah.
But then another thing, I think I want to put a caveat with the $10 a photo thing. I have a minimum of 20 photos because mostly, like, unless it's a small condo, like a 2,000 square foot house, is going to be 20 photos. But that's not including drone, and so that's going to be an add-on on top of that. But where was I going with this?
Well, I'm curious. What
Oh,
would you? Oh, go ahead. If you,
I went to I also went to some packaging this year. And so I found that a lot of my cheaper clients, I don't want to call them cheaper clients, but those who have more of a budget
Cost sensitive.
constriction, cost sensitive client, I found that when I went up to the 450, which was photo, drone, and I threw in a floor plan, right? And so they started actually purchasing that because they found more value in that instead of the $200 photos. So then that way they can have a floor plan of the house, which I get for free, but I charge 100. I keep telling them, you guys could download this and do this yourself. They're like, no, we'll just pay you to do it. I'm like, it's $100. No, it's fine. I'm like, all right. But that's why I'm able to give that away for free. And the photos and the drone stays the same price. But it appears that it's a $550 package when it's actually just a $450
So
package.
packages
Yep.
and also offering some a la carte stuff that they can choose from with some
Correct.
minimums.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's a lot of different. It also depends on where you are in the markets. Some markets are going crazy. Some go, like right now. Florida is probably going crazy right now. They're out of hurricane season. I'm assuming, David,
Getting there. Yeah.
getting there. But usually in the wintertime, you guys, our Florida photographers are like, oh, look at my best month ever. But come June or July, they're like, I think I'm going to sell my kidney to survive. I
Just depends where
can't.
you are.
I will never financially recover from this. But I think each month and each year that you're in, you actually get to kind of understand what to expect during that month. Like
Yeah.
November, I'm not going to make much money. In fact, December, I might make negative money because I have expenses that I still have to do
Yeah.
to keep my business running.
Yeah.
So I have a question about that, if I may.
Yeah.
Dom, it sounds like with the various options that you offer, especially a la carte, are you? I can't imagine you articulate this to people verbally as well as you would having it on the website where it's easy to find. Is that correct?
What do you mean?
So your packages. If
Yeah.
I come up to you and I ask you questions about this in person at some event or whatever, I would imagine that you can articulate it very easily. But me
Yep.
receiving that information, it's not going to mean a lot because I can't see it or I'm new to it, so it's not going to really stick. Do you have a way, or do you send people to like a website where they could pick through the packages, or how does that work?
So they do. So my online booking is from my website. I use a company called Ario. Some people don't like them anymore because they're owned by Zillow now.
I've heard that.
It is what it is, though. Nothing has really changed. In fact, they just got more money. Let me just say this as a disclaimer: I am part of them, even though I'm a very unhappy, disgruntled employee with them. If that makes sense. I'm supposed to be Ario's brand ambassador. I'm getting on a tangent here, but I have my order sheet, so they go in, put in the address, and then after the address and who they are, they get to see what they want. And each one of the things has a list of everything that each service provides and the pricing. So then that way, at the end of it, they can pick and choose what they want, and they know how much it's going to be. Now, if they order 20, but then at the house they want 40, I'm like, look, the price is gonna go up from here. I'm not giving you 40 images for the price of 20.
Mhm.
And so that discussion usually happens halfway through if I realize that this is a 4,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
And so I do also send out a Canva made price sheet. One of my photographers, she ended up having, she managed to somehow put my packages on there. And it works. But my packages are actually pretty simple. The essential is just photo, drone, and floor plan. Cinematic is photo, drone, video, photo, drone, and video. And then 3D is photo, drone, and 3D.
So
And then
do you include all the stuff from the lower packages in those next packages, or that you drop some stuff off?
well, so I won't include the cinematic or the video with the 3D. Like it's a
Okay.
mid-tier package. So if you want
Okay.
everything, it's the Lux package.
Ooh.
So the luxury package is usually what I most of my multi-million-dollar homes. That's what a lot of times they'll get. We'll go in there with a Pro 2 camera, get some really nice numbers, seeing how the dimensions and everything are measured by laser and stuff like that. And then I have it's a sales thing, apparently, what I'm doing, but an anchor package. I don't know if that makes sense. It's called my Pinnacle Suite, and it has literally everything that you want. It has you on camera. It has twilight, video, 3D, drone, pictures, me cleaning out the pool if you need me to. I don't know. It has everything, but that's like $23.50. I've only sold one of those.
But it's like, yeah, it's something to see, like, oh, there's this really expensive thing, and it makes everything else not feel so expensive. Yeah.
And so another big thing that has really appeared this year that I got out of my comfort zone on, because I really dislike doing it, is agent on camera. And that's the agent going through introducing the house and talking about all the different things on it. And it just brings a whole different, like...
You don't like that?
No, I don't. I don't like people. Like... So I could take an amazing video, but if they're not filling themselves, if they're not like, oh, I felt fat today, or which is me sometimes after Taco Tuesday, on Wednesday, I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not my fault, but they may not like it, and they don't know how to explain that they don't like it, or they're just not filling themselves, and then they won't share the video. But I've learned the more prepared the agent is, the more prepared I am. Together we can make magic, and so that's one of the biggest upsells that I've had this year. And it's usually just 30 seconds of them talking on the camera, and it's a $250 add-on.
Nice. So what I'm taking away from your response, Dom, is that what I took away was that the drone is just a small component of what you use to run your business, a very small component.
Yeah, for real estate.
Whereas the bigger component is, one, your salesmanship, as I would describe it, and two, this mechanism which takes your orders, the website, however it is you have it put together, that allows the clear understanding of pricing and such, and easy order transaction process.
Checkout process. Yeah,
it's all pay before you download too, so they can review all the images, they can review the videos, the 3D. It's just a 3D. So then that way I tell them, I'm like, any new client, I'm like, look, don't pay me until you review the photos and you like the photos. Once you pay, that means you like the photos. So in 6 months when the house doesn't sell, that's not my fault. Don't ask for a refund.
Gotcha. Does that happen?
You tell me. Yes. Oh, they don't really ask for a refund, but I have in this from 23 to the beginning of 24. It has been a bit ridiculous. Like, I've picked up new clients because houses were sitting for a lot longer. And so instead of the homeowner and the agent discussing that there's an issue with the pricing, because it's literally just the pricing, why the house isn't selling, they blame the photographer. And so I'm going there and reshoot.
Coming to the house and going, I don't want this.
No one wants to point at the pillar in their eye. They want to look at the splinter in someone else's eye.
Yeah.
I think that's a Bible verse or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard it somewhere. But
that's crazy.
yeah. Someone asked, do I watermark these photos? No. But on my website they are watermarked. Like it says watermark, but at the same time, AI could take that off right now. And if they try to download it, it won't be full res, and so then the MLS won't like them, and then neither will Zillow, Redfin, and everything like that too. Once they pay, then that's whenever they can actually download the full media package.
Yeah. Hey, we'll swing back to real estate, but now that my internet is working correctly, can you guys see these slides?
Beautiful. Hi, Cindy.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, puppy tax.
Crystal clear.
You're good. All right. Hey, let's roll through some of this. I'm gonna show you guys the survey that you did. All right. I think everybody here already knows who I am, and everybody else did their introductions, but basically started Drone Launch Academy 2016. We do drone education. Thank you for coming. All right. Agenda. So like I mentioned, we're going to do a drone industry outlook just as a whole. I just pulled some numbers, the most recent ones I could find. Look at some survey results. We already started talking to some experts, but we'll talk to, we'll hear from Root, from Sinuway, and then hopefully Juan can get on here and chat for a little bit if he can break away from his F1 racing duties, which is pretty sweet. I texted him. He's like, oh, I don't think I can. I'm going to be filming the F1 race. He's like, wow, shoot me the link. I'll try to get on. It's like, okay. We're going to announce some Black Friday deals. So once a year, we run Black Friday deals, usually just every course 50% off. I'm gonna give you a little pro tip for the people on the webinar. So just for tonight, we're gonna do every course is 60% off, but it's only for people that are on the webinar, and that's not going out in any email. So I'll give you that code later if you want to do that. And then we're gonna give away Air 3S. I didn't realize how expensive those were when I committed to that, but we're gonna do that. And then we'll stick around for some Q&A. So, all right. Real quick, drone industry outlook, just as a whole. I was looking up the drone service industry. I always want to know, what are the predictions? What do people think out there? What are the numbers? You never know how reliable these things are because people are making educated guesses into the future and no one knows for sure. But I like to see, no one's predicting the newspaper industry to go gangbusters over the next 10 years. You know what I mean? I always use that as a comparison. Or like, bookkeepers or different other, what we call maybe more stable industries, but I like to see how much people are saying it's going to grow. So this was from InsideFPV.com. I'm not exactly sure where they got these numbers from. I don't know if they did their own research or pulled it from somewhere else, but they say over the next roughly 10 years, the drone industry is going to grow by a compounded rate of 36%, the drone services industry. Another one from Market Research Futures said it's going to grow by 34%, pretty close. This one was a little lower. I wanted to try to get a full picture. This was from factmr.com. They say 14%. So I've usually been seeing somewhere around 20% over the last year or two as I've looked at these numbers. It's been around 20%, which is like every year 20%, then the next year 20 more percent, then 20 more. So that's it compounds to look, like the nice curve that you like to see. If you want a comparison, I always tell people the US GDP is growing at somewhere around 3%. So the whole market as a whole, and then the S&P 500, basically all the companies together, their sort of stock value grows at, I don't know, over the years, roughly give or take 10%. So basically like double what the regular market is doing and a lot more than the US GDP output as a whole is doing. So drones basically still a good place to be if you can dive in enough to know what you're doing. We'll actually see in a minute why many of you think the same way. Because I think a lot of people have some unrealistic expectations sometimes when it comes to really just anything related to business. Everybody's looking for sort of a shortcut or an easy way to do something, or, that's why drop shipping courses sell well, because people think, oh, I can just find it at a low price somewhere and sell it at a high price somewhere else, and bing, bang, I make money. And it's just like the allure of easy money that gets people. But it doesn't matter what business you're in. You're gonna have ups, you're gonna have downs, and it's gonna be harder than you think, but it's possible. So, I mean, everybody on this call I know has had good times in business, very bad times in business, and you got to persevere and stick through it. And it's possible to do well, but usually it's not quite as simple as you think it is, just to be real with you. So all that to say, drone industry, I still think is a great place to be. I'm seeing a lot more adoption now, even on like the larger commercial side of things, from anything from mapping, like now Root's working with a survey company and he sees a bunch of those companies adopting drones. Dom just said he's having his best year ever. But all these guys have been in business for 5, 10 years, so usually you just 6, see, 5 to 10. So usually it's usually a game of just, can you stick it out and stay in the game long enough? But let's look at the survey results. Okay. So roughly 200 people filled this survey out. Here's sort of what people like, what situation they're in. So 15% of the people who filled it out said, I don't fly drones at all. 30 people, 16% say I fly drones for my job. 10% had a full-time drone business. 31% had a part-time drone business, and a little over a third only flew recreationally. Okay, so that's sort of the total population we're working with. So I thought this was interesting. So this was, how much money do you make? Almost everybody answered. So this is full-time drone business. Again, not a huge data set. There were only 19 full-timers in this group here, but interesting spread. So somehow 2 people are running a full-time drone business making $0. Not sure how long that's going to last, but I'm like, I don't know if that was a fluke or if that was your true thing. And I don't know how long. Maybe we should have asked another question. How long have you been doing full-time drone business? Because again, if you're making $1,000 to $10,000, probably not a sustainable thing. But I was interested. If you look here, this is 21% are making 75 to 150K plus. 16% were making 6 figures plus. And then really, if you look here, what is this math wise? 20, 25, 30. So 42% are making 50K and up with a full-time drone business. And then there's a prefer not to answer. Maybe I should have deleted this from the percentages because it's throwing them off a little bit. And again, I don't know if this is a fluke or not, but I thought it was an interesting spread. I want to know who these people are making 150K plus. So that's the data right there. But if you compare that to part-time drone business folks, the majority are sort of like down here, right? It looks like a lot of, and as I look through the more details of the comments you were making, a lot of people just starting out, like, hey, I'm just getting going. I'm trying to find clients. Just got my Part 107. So there's a lot of that. Okay. And I'll show you that in a minute here. So I asked, what were some common challenges that you have in drone business? And I tried to categorize, I mean, I subjectively categorize these, but I tried to get it as close as I could. 30% of you had some challenge. You said with, I don't know how to market my business. I don't really know how to go talk to clients. I don't know how to get clients. Something like that was that you said that was your main challenge. 25%, 47 of you said, I need to educate myself better. I need to get better flying skills. I feel like I need to know the industry better. Some type of learning, improvement, growing industry knowledge was 24%. A lot of you, like I said, 12% of you just said, oh yeah, you just said, I'm just getting started. I don't really know where to go from here. There was a lot of random comments that weren't even really answering the question of what your challenges were. Someone was like, some people just put a question mark, and some people were like, I love dogs. I'm like, okay, so that's not relevant. 14 of you, people that filled this out had like sourcing where it's like, I need to replace my fleet of DJI with US drone manufacturers, which I don't know why you would need to do that unless you're like flying for government or energy or something like that. But many of you were concerned about that, or, hey, I don't know what equipment I need to get, but there's a lot of worry about DJI and the coming ban. Many people were looking for like, I don't know where to fly, or I can't fly. I live in DC. I can't fly in the airspace, things like that. Some of you were just saying like finances were an issue. Many of you were like, I'm just not motivated. I need to find time, procrastinate. And then there were several who were like, I employ 9 drone pilots and I want to double that, or I need to expand that. So maybe those are the people that were making good money. So that's how that looked there. Okay. And then what were your goals for the next year? These were the responses. So roughly half of you were like, I would like to start and or grow my business. That's not really that surprising, especially if there's a lot of drone service providers. A quarter of you didn't even have a Part 107 license and were like, hey, my next step is getting either Part 107 license. A few of you are from other countries. So like, someone was in Australia and somewhere else. Basically, Part 107 license or your country's regulatory certificate. 10% of you surprisingly said like your main goal was to learn more about mapping. And I'm lumping this with like LiDAR, surveying, that type of stuff. Others just like generally improve your skills. And then, a small percentage of you said you'd like to learn more about like video production, editing specifically. So anyways, I found that interesting. I appreciate everybody sort of sharing what that is. I don't know if any of you in the comments can relate to what's going on there and feel the same way. But yeah, thought that was interesting. I mean, it makes more sense that people who are doing the full time are generally making more than people who are doing part time just starting off. But
Let me
yeah,
interject real quick.
please.
Just as I just did some numbers real quick. I am at 82% of my listings of my shoots have included drone.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that was the survey results. All right. Now we can get back to if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. I can dive into. I mean, I read everyone's responses, so I can give some more details there. But I know that you filled that out. You'd be interested to hear that. So yeah. All right. With that said, let's talk to some more experts. I don't know what happened to Sinue, but let's give Dom a chance to finish up our real estate discussion. So, did you have anything else you wanted to add as far as real estate, and if someone wants to really be successful next year, how they should spend their time, what they should focus on?
Be you.
Care to
So
elaborate?
I feel kind of weird about this because I don't know if I want to say weird about this, but I'm me. Like I don't sell. I don't go to people. I have literally never gone to a person to ask them to shoot their listings. I've
Hmm.
posted what I have on Instagram. They see what I have on Instagram, and they're like, "Oh, I want to work with this guy," or "Oh, I've been tagged in Instagram stories, Instagram posts, and stuff like that." They'd be like, "Oh, wow, this guy's actually fun to work with," or something like that.
Mhm.
You can run your business as a business and have a sales team. I don't like that, but if it works for you, so be it. But I don't know. I think be you. Understand the niche that you want to be in, which is, say, like if it's real estate. A big thing to real estate agents. This is like a insider thing, is that they want to be known in their community. And
Mm.
so being able to be known in the community, they need footage of their community. And for like people like me, the only time that I'm out shooting is whenever I want to, whenever I'm on a job or something. Now, if they tell me that they want to get some community shots of something, that community shots is really just left for that listing. I can have it saved for later on, but they want to see the parks. They want to see the neighborhood. They want to see how close it is to maybe Walmart or something. They want to see how close it is to the water, the YMCA or stuff like that. And so if you're trying to get new clients and everything like that, and if you just want to become that go-to person for your agent, have like just extra photos and video for them so then that they can use it. And so you'll become invaluable. Like I have one of my agents was all like, "I will pay you $500 to go do this." I was like, "I ain't got time." And so like $500 is big for some people. And so like, especially starting out, I remember my first year, I barely cracked six figures. And if I don't crack six figures in 3 months, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And so
So you're saying go
there's
out.
room for growth.
They were going to offer you $500 for just like city, town
Yeah.
shots and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm, cool. So anybody can do that. So go
Yeah.
collect. I think Alex talks about that too in his course, like collecting your town, get a town reel together, basically
Yeah.
stuff that everyone would want to see. Yeah.
And like a lot of real estate agents are really big on networking. So if you're willing to go to network events with them for volunteering things or just like social hours, that's a really big thing for them because that's how they also network to find potential new clients too. And so if that's what you want to do, so be it. I don't. I take naps. I'll give you the information on how to do it, but I'm not going to do it myself. So
Dom, do they have real estate caravans where you live? Like no. Okay.
I've never
What?
heard that term either. I think
So
that's the same.
I'm asking that question because you talked about you spoke about networking. That's actually how I started going drone court early on. Is in the San Diego area, Southern California. There would be, or there still are, what are called real estate caravans, and it's just a bunch of realtors get together and they talk about their upcoming listings. so that
Oh,
they one another know what's on the market in case they have a buyer that may fit that seller's home. And then alongside those meetings, they welcome what are called affiliates. So anybody that supports the real estate industry, like a mortgage professional, title, drone guys, anybody. And that's where I got in. And I found that there was, in the 3 years that I was doing it in San Diego, I must have ran into another person offering drone services, maybe like 3 times.
yeah.
It was very rare. So that's why I mentioned it, because of the networking. That's how I grew DroneCo early on, is networking with realtors.
I think
Yeah.
that's smart. My MLS up here in Western Washington, Northwest MLS, doesn't allow pre-marketing, so they don't have like something similar to that. But once the thing goes live, they do have a broker's tour, they call it, to where on Thursday they'll all show up before the open houses have to go. They'll have a list of houses, and they'll tour houses before everybody else. So they actually have asked me to go to record them to do that because they want to show that they're out there doing that. I don't want to do that. Now you can go to offices and teach and inform, kind of like almost how you say for an affiliate. So a lot of times they are going to ask for a fee.
Yeah.
To be one of their preferred vendors. I've learned that the fee is the only thing that really separates you to become a preferred vendor. That's just what they want.
Not a lot of quality preferred vendors.
Well, I'm not going to get into that. But that's up here. I keep getting asked every year if I want to become a vendor, and I'm like, no.
You're like, I'm already crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like right now I go and teach different courses at offices. But I do it horribly because at the end people are like, "Can I hire you?" And I'm like, "No. I don't have the bandwidth to take on more clients." And so that's a problem with me as a business owner. And so I'm seeing myself being successful. I'm able to sustain what I have right now. I'm not bringing on I'm not bringing on more photographers to help with the workload. I'm not bringing on an admin to help me with my morning and evening duties. And so like that's a hindrance with me, as I can make this a 7-figure business, no problem. Like if I had 6 photographers doing half of what I do right now, easily will be a 7-figure business. But I'm also the kind of person like, how much money do I actually need?
It's a good place to be.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, let's say 45. I want to try to get around the room here before we run out of time. So let's do this. Root, let's talk about mapping for a little bit. Let's talk about mapping, construction, engineering, surveying. What's that looking like now, and what do you see as opportunity in 2025? You sound very quiet, Root. I don't think your microphone is on. Can't hear you.
Me now.
Yeah.
Now I got you. All right.
Okay. I had the microphone turned off.
Sounded like it.
Yes.
All right. What do you see
No,
mapping next year?
surveying and mapping is a great point, because that's where I started. When I learned about that, that's where I pivoted my whole business from taking just pictures to actually entering into the whole engineering field. And where I found the most success is actually going a little bit further than taking pictures. And again, taking pictures is great, but for me, for my own passion, I wanted to get into more of the engineering space, because it's always wanted to be an engineer, but I would just didn't have a bandwidth to go to the school and finish the whole thing. So I try to learn everything as much as I can. And when I actually got into it, I saw the drones are being used in those. There was a lot more opportunity available, because when I started, realistic kind of was a very low hanging fruit and everyone's trying to get into. So every time I reach out to the client, every time they usually working with someone or they're not interested. And I didn't really find my passion into that. So that's where I'm like, okay, I like engineering. I want to go into it. So let's actually start talking to the client. That time the Hurricane Irma happened. So I started taking pictures of the roof and collecting a lot of roof inspection data. And that's where the whole momentum started, me getting into engineering. And one thing led to other. And then I got some Uh, the first engineering work I got was a cell tower inspection, and that was my first big contract. It was in Ohio, and I jumped on it without knowing any detail. I was very eager to just get into this industry because this was like seven years ago, so there was not many drone opportunity available. People were still believing that drones are spying on you. So
Still do.
yeah, they still do, but it has the number of that people believing that has decreased a lot because the usage of drone has gotten a lot higher. So
Sure.
everyone's more familiar with it. So I got into more engineering work that way, and then the ball started rolling, and then I got to meet a lot of more people, and a lot more people started giving me ideas and just explain like this is the problem our industry is having. What can you do to solve it? And I had a great opportunity to solve many of the problem.
So Root, going into, sorry, I'm cracking jokes about Sinue in the comments. For next year, if people are interested in mapping, because there was a lot of people who filled out that survey who are like, I want to learn more about mapping. I want to know about mapping. Tell them like, hey, if you get good at mapping, like good enough to where you could work with surveyors and speak their language and all that stuff, where are the opportunities for them, do you think?
I mean, mapping applies to everything I do, all the jobs that we do. For example, creating the digital twin. I had a huge contract with City of Lakeland. The task was to create the digital twin of the city that they can use for urban development and stuff. And the knowledge of that allowed me to get those big jobs. I think mapping is kind of fundamental that applies to every job that you do, even if you do real estate or even if you do like I don't know if it applies into media or not, but if you want to do anything related to inspection, if you want to do anything related to mapping, if you want to do anything related to engineering, having the understanding of mapping and modeling is very important because from that you can build upon that.
And if any of you are here and you don't know what mapping is, which I think you mostly do, essentially you're taking a drone, mostly automating the flight path and taking tons of photos from certain angles, and you use software to stitch them all together, and you can create like survey products out of that and recreate 3D models of buildings for inspections. You can like what's Root's doing a lot of now, and I know this because we just finished filming a course this week on it, was like he's working with surveyors to turn over exact elevation changes of golf courses and surveys of car dealerships and all these really, really specific survey points. It basically eliminates what they have to used to do by hand over the course of like weeks or months. Now they can do it with a drone. A few like
Yeah, I'll
maybe
give you an example.
yard view, but
Recently, I'm working with a survey company and I'm setting up the entire drone program for them. We just finished a 300-acre golf course survey, and it took us about a week to do the whole thing, and it would have taken them months to go to do all that. So it just drastically reduced the time. I always give this example. I had my biggest contract with Mosaic, the world's biggest phosphate producer. How we use modeling and mapping, and that was quite unique. What we did, they had a massive machines, this big machine called drag lines, and they're 7 million pounds, very heavy, cost about $300 million, and they move very slow, but they work constantly and they dig the earth. And every time they're not working, they're going through the maintenance stuff like that. It costs the company $25,000 per hour, and usually they go on a break for 10 days. They have to do the whole maintenance, stopping everything, going through all that. We reduced that from 10 days to 6 days. Now they're saving 4 days on every inspection, and that allows them to save $25,000 for 24 hours for 4 days, and
yeah.
yearly and they have 11 of them, so hundreds of millions of dollars that it saves them. So this kind of big difference that you can actually provide a big solution and get a big chunk of that solution for your income. So having that understanding how to combine certain things, it's very important. And I think that's where the things are going in 2025. To go back to your original answer, we are going towards the fourth industrial revolution, and what it is combining the physical world to the digital world. So if you're seeing many companies are completely digitizing their warehouses so they can optimize their processes. Many cities, like I did a project with City of Lakeland, And someone asked, was City of Lakeland, Florida? Yes, City of Lakeland, Florida. We created a digital twin. You can go take a look at it. It's called catalystlakeland.com. It see the whole 3D model, and it allows them to plan out the city in the future. That's the fourth industrial revolution I'm talking about. And this is where I see the future going. Not necessarily, I don't know the exactly what's going to be for the pilot. I can see the whole as an industry where it's going, that it's going to be used a lot more.
Yeah, to back you up on this too. So Ted Strazimiri is another one of our instructors coming up for like our new mapping courses, and he lives in Canada, and he gets hired by his city to go create 3D models of buildings, to do bridge inspections. He's done maps of runways to inspect cracks and things like that. So um, along the lines of everything you're saying, of everything being digitized and mapping, it's lining up with that exactly. All right, hey, I'm gonna stop real quick. Juan just got on. He's ready to roll. I know he's got a short time window here with his FPV F1 stuff, so I'm gonna pull him up, let him talk real quick.
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Juan, what's up, man? I'm gonna put you as the only one up so that you're a little bit bigger since you're on your phone here. Hold on. Sorry, Dom and Root. You're in the waiting room, but all right. Juan, tell us about what's going on, who you are, and what you're doing.
Juan Quinones here, reporting live from F1 in Las Vegas. So, I'm a luxury drone pilot, and I get hired to shoot cool events like this one. We just got done shooting. Well, we dove the Venetian building here in Vegas. We dove straight down it, went over the F1 track, and then we started showing off like this Venetian. What is this called? It's like a viewing deck area where all the VIP people that pay like 10, 15 grand for these seats to like view the F1 race, they're all going to be here. So that's what they hired us to do today.
Nice. And so what we're talking about in this webinar is sort of like what's the outlook going into next year for different sectors? We've talked a little bit about real estate so far, like sort of traditional real estate media, photos, video, floor plan stuff. Talked a little bit about mapping. We can get back to that in a minute. But FPV specifically, what do you see? Like, do you see it getting better or increasing demand, staying the same? Which types of areas would be interesting for people to focus on FPV wise? Like, what do you see just from your experience?
So in my experience, I think that FPV is going to see like a crazy boom just in this next year. Reason being that there's not enough talented, safe, professional pilots out there for the amount of work that's coming. To give you guys an example, like it's F1 week here in Vegas, and I've been booked out every single day of the week. I've been having clients hitting me up like, Juan, can you shoot for me and for me? So I have 3 pilots here in Vegas who I trust, to send out on shoots, and even they're like super busy with FPV work. It's starting to get a lot more accepted as a form of content creation. Like whenever I'm at the gym, I see FPV drone videos and commercials for cars, real estate, just anything you can think of. Like just start seeing it everywhere. And my guess would be that in the next 3 to 4 years, we're gonna like start replacing camera operators and just have floating FPV drones like in every movie set. So that's where I think it's gonna go with FPV.
And then real quick, for there's a few folks who are maybe less familiar with FPV first person view drones. Give them a little breakdown on what FPV drone is as opposed to just like a regular, Mavic 3.
Okay. So an FPV, do you have the goggles?
Yes, I do.
Okay, my friend brought some goggles. I'll show you guys what the goggles look like. But an FPV drone is basically it's first person view. That's what FPV stands for. You put on these crazy looking goggles, and then you basically see what the drone sees, and you become the drone. And it's a little bit different from flying a Mavic drone, where like Mavics are very linear. You can go up, down, forward, back, left, right. But with FPV, you're only following the rules of gravity. So you can do all kinds of crazy acrobatic tricks. For real estate, you can get very fine-tuned with your movement and fly through like little gaps, fly through rooms, show off the entire property that way. Yeah, so that's what makes it a little bit different. And then like if you let go of the joysticks on a regular Mavic drone, the drone just hovers in place. But if you let go of the joysticks with an FPV drone, it just falls out of the air. So those are some of the differences there.
I'm not a very good FPV pilot, so admittedly, I was messing around on some simulators the other day, and it's difficult, which I think is probably why if you can get good at it, you're in demand because it's a harder skill to learn. So maybe on that, if someone was like, "Ooh, I really want to get into FPV next year, and I want to sort of specialize there," what should they be doing to set themselves up well?
If you want to get good at FPV, let's say before this year is over, first step would be to buy a Tango 2 controller. And this is a controller that you can plug into your computer, and you download a game called Liftoff. It's on Steam. Steam is like the gaming engine.
Yep.
So you plug in your controller to the computer, and then you start practicing in a simulator. There's a bunch of fun race maps. There's like indoor real estate ones too, where you can practice flying indoors. You can practice chasing cars, diving buildings. But this is really like the safest place for you to practice flying before, you know, doing it in real life. Because once you start flying in real life, like if you don't go the simulator route, then you're gonna end up crashing a lot, fixing your drone a lot, and then it's gonna take you a lot longer to learn how to fly, as opposed to doing it safely in a simulator.
Yeah. How long does it take to get good at FPV flying?
So that's a great question. There's so many different levels to this. Like to get good enough to charge, let's say for a real estate shoot, because there's different kinds of good, right? There's good enough to chase the F1 cars. That probably takes like 6 to 8 years. There's good enough to shoot like for luxury real estate. I would say that would take like if you're taking your time with it, it could take you maybe like 2 3 years to get good at. But if you're taking the fast track, you can get as good as like 6 months to a year.
Okay. So it takes time to like be really, really proficient and safe and skilled at it. Yeah. Which honestly, sometimes it's a good thing because it like limits how many people will actually dedicate the time to get that good at something, you know?
Yeah, which is why it's in such a high demand right now, is because not many people are willing to go through that like period of failing and suffering until they get to that, you know, end goal, which is why there's not that many pilots in FPV.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, is there anything else you'd like to mention? I know you're literally out there doing work right now, so I don't want to keep you too long, but is there anything else you'd like to add for those that are on the live right now who are maybe interested in FPV, or if you guys got any quick questions, throw them in there quickly so that we can ask Juan, because he's not gonna be able to stick around.
Yeah, no worries. One quick tip I would give anyone is like, if you want to just try it, you can buy a controller on Amazon, try it out for, 15, 20 days. If it's not for you, you just return it on Amazon. So this is super risk free.
Nice. I like that. Okay. Let me see if there's any other quick questions. What was the name of that drone the controller in the simulator again you mentioned? Tango 2?
Controller is a Tango 2. There's two good simulators. I recommend using Liftoff, and then the other one is Uncrashed.
Liftoff and Uncrashed. All right, sweet. Let's see. Can you just, someone that wants to know, what's the approval process like to be able to fly in like Las Vegas and do that kind of stuff?
That's a great question. I think you might know more about this, but we actually have a pilot that has a blanket on the strip. I have no idea how he was able to submit the paperwork and get approved for that, but
Gotcha.
he's basically good. Yeah, so he's basically good to fly for the entire year anywhere on the strip, where otherwise you'd have to go through Lance to get authorization that way.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, sweet. Well, good to know. I appreciate you taking some time out of your filming up there. Enjoy the F1 race and try not to crash into any race cars.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, David. See you guys later. Bye.
All right, I'm bringing Dom back up. Sinue just disappeared from frame, and I don't know where Root went. All right, Dom. Well, let's talk a little bit more about real estate, and then oh wait, or Sinue, you back? I'm bringing you up. Oh yeah, the guns are out.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry, it's really hot. I can't. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a sweater on. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
You're
Guess
good.
to be flexing.
No need to apologize. All right, let's talk about roofing. I don't know if Root comes back, we can talk more about mapping. I felt bad having to cut him off, but I knew Juan was coming up. All right. Well, let's do this. It's 9 o'clock. We'll talk about roofing. Some people asked about the Blackfriar thing. Let me just throw that code up there so you guys have it. We'll talk more about roofing, and then we'll do the Air 3S giveaway. Okay. Real quick, Black Friday deals. You can go to DLA bfblackfriday.com. It's a short link. It will take you to the 60% off deals only for webinar people. Let me share that with you, what that looks like real quick. It is literally the only time all year we will do this. Can you see this? And I don't say that to like sound like a marketing guy. This is true. So this is only for the webinar, folks. We said if you're going to get on the webinar, I'll give you extra special deals. So 60% off every course and every workshop. So you just pick the one you want. You can click learn more. It'll tell you some more information about that thing. Or you can, if you want to find like the sales page, you can go to like navigate to the actual course. The code for all of these is just BF50. So if you navigate to a course and you're trying to check out individually, BF50. If you find it, you click enroll now. The promo code should automatically be applied. Drone to 1K. This is Dom's course, Real Estate Media Pro. You can literally get it for $160. It's normally $400. Drone mapping and modeling fundamentals. Again, normally $400. You can get it for $160. That one.
I'm about to buy my own course. That's cheap.
I'm sorry, Dom. Drone mapping and modeling fundamentals. Me and Root teach that one. Aerial Photo Pro and Aerial Video A to Z. Alex Harris teaches that one. He's in Europe, skirting around in the mountains right now. Aerial Roof Inspection Pro. Sinuway teaches that one. That's normally $500. And we just added a bunch of stuff to this. This $199.60. Solar Roof Inspection Pro. That's like an add-on for the Aerial Roof Inspection Pro. If you want to be part of our Drone Launch Connect community, you can. This one's a little weirder, but basically you get 15 months for the price of 10 months or something. Basically like an annual membership, but you get 15 months. And then every workshop that we have, these are like shorter 1 to 2 hour courses, mini courses. They're a lot cheaper, but they're literally like $20, I think, most of them, or less, and $20 to $40 for each one of these. So yeah, so if you want it, DLABF.com. That link will go away again at midnight or whatever. So if you want to do that, click on whatever you want. Just get them all before midnight. Don't freak out if you can't. Like starting tomorrow, they're 50% off. So it's not like the massive difference. But we'll just get extra bonus for you webinar folks. The only people that can get 60% off. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to pull this back up here. What's up,
Dave? So I want to say something. It has nothing to do with roofing. It has everything to do with salesmanship, guys. Root was just mentioning a moment ago how he got a customer that was saving $25,000 or spending 25 grand an hour or some obscene number. And the thing that I really want to underscore, because the roofing course that we offer you is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to do you any good if you don't go out there and seek business and close business. And in order to close the business, you have to know how to sell to the individual that you're talking to. And I don't mean sell as in like, the negative connotation of sell. It's how to help them buy, because most of the time you don't know what it is that their problem is. And at least when I first started, I thought, well, hey, I have a drone. I'm going to send them these pictures. It's going to be great. They're going to love it. And they gave a damn about the freaking pictures. They cared more about what problem I was going to solve for them and how quickly I could do it, or to what degree I can remove friction out of what it is that they wanted to accomplish, which was selling a house, right? So whether you're, selling roof inspections, you're selling land surveys, you're selling, real estate photography, it's not about having a drone and feeling like now you can go out and sell. It's about listening to the other party and being able to ask the right open-ended questions so that you can understand what the problem is. Because once you have the discovery done, then you could position and leverage your solution as the solution that would fit their bill. Somebody else earlier said, hey, there's a guy that says, I already have a drone pilot. I don't want to hire anybody else. Well, ask him, how is it that they can, well, I shouldn't try to come up with a question on the spot, but an open-ended question to that response is a question that could help them, help you understand more about what it is that their friction point is as to why they wouldn't hire somebody else, right? So I just wanted to put that out there, because the drone itself, having a drone isn't going to create your business or isn't going to start your business, moving in the direction you want it to. You got to move that. You got to move that challenge along the way.
I kind of want to add to that real quick. Yes, listen to him with sellings and, figuring out people's pain points. One thing that people do appreciate, like more you work with them, is whenever you tell them that a house doesn't need a certain something. So say like they ordered video for a really rundown house, I'll be like, hey, listen, let's not do this. That's just on me, but that allows them to be like, oh, look, this guy isn't just all about money all the time.
Yeah, you're like actually caring.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, one, it's going to be a lot harder for me to make this look nice, but two, let's save it for a bigger project down the road. So him and I, we both have different ways to look at it. I agree with how he says though, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
A couple things to address real quick. Somebody was asking the difference between like the Drone Launch Connect membership and the mini courses. So all the workshops and mini courses are included in Drone Launch Connect, which is like our membership area. If you buy them outright, you get them for life. But if you are a member of like that community, you have access to them as long as you decide to be a member. So if you get the year-long thing, you have access to all of them for a year. So in case there's a difference for you there. All right. Let's see. Let's do. All right, Sinuway, why don't you talk about, I don't know, you haven't really talked about outlook for roofing yet. You've kind of just given helpful advice on chiming in on things, but let's talk a little bit about going back to our sort of experts. Let's talk a little about roofing and then we'll do that giveaway. What do you see roofing solar wise going into the next year? Where are the opportunities? I know we've had a lot of webinars lately about like storms and helping adjusters and roofing companies with leads and things like that after storms, or insurance adjusters addressing damage. What do you see as going into 2025? If people are like, oh, I really want to focus on roofing or, solar, that area, what would you say?
So I think the solar industry has taken a pretty significant hit in the last, I'd say, 24 to 36 months with rising interest rates. And changing of regulations that has decreased the volume of sales for solar companies. So it's a lot more competitive than it was. What that means is homeowners that are buying solar are able to push further down on price because there's just, less opportunity available to these sales companies. So what I'm trying to get at here is that the solar companies are doing what they can to be more cost effective. And that means not having site surveyors on staff as they would in the past, where, you'd have somebody on salary and they would go out and do an area of site surveys for solar. We've seen an increase in our services being hired for solar companies to do surveys on their behalf. And that's because we can deploy a drone pilot that is not their employee and they pay us a one-time fee. So if you're able to situate business with a solar company in your area, if there's solar in your state, you would be less expensive than them hiring an employee. Because if they don't have surveys to send them out, but they still have the employee on staff, that's costing them money. So they're doing what they can to cut costs so that they could be more competitive on price on the solar side. On roofing, I found with roofing, it was a little bit more challenging to get into it because roofers were, I don't know. I think roofers are stuck in the past, if you ask me. That's a very wide generalization, obviously. But a lot of times the friction with roofers was that, I got to get on the roof. I got to get on the roof in order to see the condition of the roof. And that's great. I mean, I can understand where they're coming from. But what I was able to situate as a solution is finding a way to provide opportunities for these roofers through our services. And we talk about that in the course. We talk about how to farm or mine opportunities out of a neighborhood. But I found that when I was able to, instead of positioning myself as being a solution for, gathering data, at least initially, I positioned myself as a solution for bringing them business, which perked their ears. So I feel that the utilization of drones on the roofing side can have less friction if you're helping the roofer find business that they would otherwise have a hard time finding. So a drone can survey a neighborhood or assess a neighborhood a lot quicker than a guy knocking the doors, right? So I would start there. If I was starting all over again and I know what I know now, I wouldn't try to approach roofers to offer them the services specifically only for gathering site data. I would do that in conjunction with finding business for them or helping them find business.
If you're marketing to a business, really the only thing that you need to be able to demonstrate is if what you're offering can make them more money, save them money, or reduce some big pain in the butt for them that they can have to not worry about anymore so that they can focus on their core business of making money, right? If you're doing like selling to a business. So everything you're framing needs to be that way. Like Dom is able to sell his stuff because people, it's like, he's reducing the pain of maybe working with a photographer, having to wait on things or not be easy to work with or reliable or available, right? Those are all pains, like pains in the butt that they normally have to deal with other vendors. But also if like the photos are really good and the media looks nice, it's going to attract more listings from other sellers or hypothetically help sell the home faster and all these things, right? So, I mean, Dom, is that what you find as to why people work with you?
Yeah, I'm easy to work with. I provide high quality imagery and video. It's easy to book me, and you get what you expect every single time at 9 a.m. the next morning. I actually destroy a lot of people with that because some photographers refuse to, I don't know, wake up early in the morning to deliver their photos, or don't have, or refuse to do an editor. So they get it turned right away so that they can go live the next morning. And it's kind of a pain point, though, a little bit of a pain point, because if they ask for corrections, I'm like, I have a whole day ahead of me of shoots. I can't get to your listing right now. And so, but yeah, no, yeah, it's
but
being easy.
But in the case of any business, right, it's you have to think what's important to them. And everybody, you're in business, sure, maybe because you like it, but at the end of the day, if the business didn't make any money ever, you wouldn't stay in it. So if you can come to someone and say, hey, here's how I can help you make more money, and I'm going to make you more money, then you're going to cost me. That's why Root is able to, he's not on here anymore. He had to jump, but you know, we were talking a ton the last few days this week when we were filming the new course about like why this survey firm works for them. And every time he delivers something to them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so much faster than what we used to have to do, right? So we used to have to pay survey teams to go out by hand and go every 25 feet, like with a GNSS receiver, and like go through and shoot all these points. Now we can do this drone data collection, and it's cuts our time by a quarter for figuring out where all these points are. Now we can do a ton of more projects, and we can like, they see how it can expand their business a lot more. So they're willing to pay him like a pretty good amount to set this up for him, and to tell him whatever, like we'll buy you whatever drone or software you want to help install this in our program. So he's creating SOPs for them. So he's helping them build like the future of their business. The roofing stuff, right? If you're saying to roofers, hey, you want me to fly pretty drone pictures of your roof? They're like, I don't know, why would I pay for that? But if you're like, hey, can I bring you leads of roofs that already have damage? They're like, oh, great. Like people don't necessarily care. I mean, the drone looks cool sometimes, so it can attract like a cool factor. But at the end of the day, people aren't always caring. They don't always care what tool you're using. They just care about whatever tangible business result you can generate. So just try to think that way if you're thinking about doing this stuff. All right. Dom, is that you typing on like the?
Yeah, I am so sorry.
Loud keyboard. Holy crap!
Listen, I do like 120 words per minute. Okay, so.
Dude, my gosh, dude, doesn't sound like you're over there like, you know, breaking bricks.
No, the chat's messing up for me. I can't like put websites. Like it keeps saying that I can't type. People were asking for my website, and it was domdoesmedia.com, but people were looking me up on Instagram, which was domdoesmedia. But then someone was asking about an editor, and I was all like, one, I'm not going to share my editor. He's a one-man team. But two, just there's a website called Pixel Mob, and they have an index of a bunch of editors that you can go to.
Pixel Mob?
Yeah, Pixel Mob. And I think I have a code so you can get some free listings. I'm not going to throw that out right now. Just let me try to figure it out first.
All right. So how would you guys feel about us doing the giveaway now? I feel like everybody wants to do the giveaway, and then we can stick around for some Q&A. All right, Mavic Air 3S. When we were like, hey, let's give away a drone, I was like, yeah, whatever. What's the newest drone? They're like, oh, well, I knew it was the Air 3S, but I didn't actually look at how much it was. So it's currently like $1,100 for an Air 3S. It's the new toy. I guess they've come out with. Well, I think this is the newest one, right? The Air 3S. I think it is. Anyways, it was the main one on DJI's website. So I thought you guys would be excited about that. So we decided, let's give one of those away. All right. So the way this worked is, unless you are blind and don't check your email, you got like 25 emails about signing up for this giveaway and sharing it. So if you did not get in on it, I don't know what else to tell you. But We had a link going around. You could enroll for the giveaway. You could share it with friends to get more entries. I use this software called UpViral to like, that's how it keeps track of the points and all the tracking and all that stuff. So I go in, I click a button, I say select winner based on random. It looks at all the points. Like for every extra point, it's like an additional entry, right? So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click one button. It's going to give me a winner. And then I'm going to call that person out. We did not make it a requirement this time that you had to be live on the call, because that just creates an enormous mess trying to use UpViral and then comparing that with who's on YouTube live. I can't actually see who all is here. So I'm just going to call it out. I have their email address and I'll send them an email. If you are here, I would love for you to say, that's me. And so everyone can congratulate you. It will do nothing else other than having people congratulate you. So if you say that's me and it's not you, you will not be able to trick the system. So, all right, here we go. I can't tell you how many times I've done a giveaway and it's gone wrong. Like somebody's like, oh, that's not fair. They were one digit off in their email address or something like that. So listen, here we go. All right. This is going to be a no fail way to do it. I'm going to hit a button and we're going to pick the winner. All right. In 3, 2, 1. All right. I'm selecting it. It is picking. All right. The winner is someone who had a lot of points. I think you got many bonus points for referrals, but this is Franz. Franz at soarindroneservices.com. I think that's what it says. soarindroneservices.com. Franz, are you on here? And if Franz could be from the US, I'm not saying that, but I will say, without trying to be very stereotyping, Franz sounds like a non-US name. So if you live outside the US, you don't qualify for this because we said continental US on here. So Franz is the winner. But if Franz emails me back and says, Dave, I am in, let's call it Germany, Austria, somewhere like that. That sounds more Franzish to me. Okay. Then I'll be picking someone else. We'll pick the next one. I won't announce it on a YouTube live, but I'll just select the next one and email that person and we'll go from there. Okay. All right. So there you go. Franz, congratulations. This is Hans's partner. I'll take care of it. Oh, that's great.
Funny.
All right, cool. Sounds good. All right, so that's the giveaway. We'll get Franz hooked up, and again, if Franz is, somewhere else, we'll pick the next one on the list. All right, Q&A. I feel like you guys have had a lot of questions, so we can hang out. We can chat with you questions. Dom, Sinue, feel free to stay as long as you want, or if you have to go, I understand. But
I can't type websites in the chat.
You can't type
blocks
websites.
me. Or I can't even say look me up on IG or YouTube because it blocks it also.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I had to jerry rig it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if that's like a setting I can do on my side.
I don't know. But what I was going to tell people, if you're looking for, Richard really wants me to smile. I had a dental work today. I'm not smiling. What do you call that? Pixelmob.com and then /Dom. So it's pixlmob.com/MO or DOM. And so that will give you editors if you need.
All right.
Since I can't type it out.
All right. Let's see. Questions about drones. I've seen a couple questions about courses. So some people are confused about the Mapping Pro course. Okay. So we made the Mapping Pro course, Drone Mapping Modeling Pro course several years ago. It was good. It had some good data in there, or some good lessons and stuff. A few students are having trouble with the data and a few other things. And I was just like, I want to make this better. I think the more I learned about mapping and the more we got into it, I was just like, I think we could do better on this. So we are sunsetting that course and we're replacing it with something that's coming out next year called our Advanced Mapping and Modeling Program. We did a live beta version of this course with about 40 students over the fall, got their feedback. I've been flying around the country over the last 6 weeks in Canada filming these courses with all these new instructors. So that'll be released sometime early next year. everybody who was in the drone mapping modeling pro course from before and who's in the live course gets access to all those new courses, but that won't be out for a little while. So if you're confused about like, oh, the pro course, I wanted to get that. I don't know. I don't think the code will apply to that because we don't really ever advertise or promote that right now. I don't even know if it's still on our website. If it is, I probably should take it down. Oh, it is. I'm going to remove that link.
Is my course on the website now?
It should be. Let's see. Individuals, courses, real estate media pro right there. Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
So yeah. So I would, if you don't know anything about mapping, you got to start with the fundamentals course anyways, because the advanced courses assume that you know everything that's in the fundamentals course. If you skip that and you go straight to advanced, you'll be very confused and lost, and we're throwing around terminology and different things like that. So those you kind of have to do in order. So if you're wanting to get in mapping, just start with the fundamentals course, and then next year when we release the other stuff, you can look into it. Cool. All right. Let's see what else we got. Is this video accessible later? AJI, yes, this is YouTube Live. Beautiful thing about that is that it lives on YouTube and will stay up. So I'll leave that up for later. Any advice on sourcing equipment with the availability of DJI drones being limited and US equivalents being prohibitively expensive for starting off? Taylor, this is a question I get a lot, and I wish I had a really good answer for you. I actually had someone email me today, and I had such hope. It was someone who says, David, I know that DJI's restrictions are, like they've been held up at the ports and stuff a lot of times, like when they're being imported. There's all the ban talk that's been going around for a while. And he said, we've got drones that can help. They're US made, they're good, they're this, they're that, they're this. And I thought, oh, wow, fantastic. Let me check these out. I went and looked at them. I got to be honest, didn't look that good. And they were very expensive. And I was like, oh, bummer. I asked a couple more questions. They're getting back to me. I don't want to throw them under the bus yet because I'm still getting more details. But still, there's not been a great comparison yet because all the US drone manufacturers, they start making drones and then they've got all these investors and like, oh, we need to make more money. And you don't really make tons of profit margin with consumer drones. So let's go enterprise and military contracts. And so they end up just all becoming defense contractors and only trying to cater to the enterprise market. And there's like nobody in sort of the nicer consumer drones. And it doesn't really exist right now. So I don't have a good answer for you other than I suppose if DJI truly gets like locked out, someone else will step up or there'll be some other type of market incentive to make this work. But outside of that, I have not found a good US made drone that is in the same price range as DJI that works as well, unfortunately. If anybody else has found that, then you let me know.
Add a GoPro to a pigeon.
Yeah, I see a couple concerns about Franz. I'm gonna look at this about the fake address. If it looks like there was some fraudulent activity, some spam, we will ban Franz and I'll pick somebody else. I just clicked the button and that's the name that came up. So I'll check that out. I won't give it to someone who has jacked the system, if that makes you feel better. And I guess you're just gonna have to trust me on that because I don't know how else to prove it to you. I'm also the one buying the drone, so I kind of can, yes, the fundamentals course is staying. If you already paid for mapping courses, you still have access. Yep, lifetime access to basically, if we ever make a better version of the course that you already have, I promise that I'll give you the better version of it. All of our courses are lifetime access. So if you have the mapping fundamentals course, you have it plus all updates. If you bought the pro course, literally we're going to create 5 new courses that will be a part of like an advanced mapping program. And I'll just give you access to all of them because you're already a pro course. Don't buy the pro course now because I'm not going to do that for future people, but just letting you know in case you were already a student. Dom, is there a steep learning curve to start real estate video?
I mean, yes and no. iPhones have made it very simple now. They have a very nice color to them and a very good dynamic range, even though it's not like a real dynamic range, because you're able to see out the windows with them a little bit better than what you could with a camera. The only reason why is because cameras have only a certain amount of dynamic range. A lot of the tricks, a lot of the settings stay the same. It's different than photography. The trickiest part is walking. Walking so that you're not bouncing your camera up and down
Oh.
because they can see it. And so that's one of the trickiest things that I see. You are going to have to do a little bit of weight training if you're going to be doing a gimbal. It's maybe what 7-8 pounds, but if you hold your arm like this for like 10-15 minutes trying to keep it steady, I mean your gimbal's there, but like I feel some muscle coming in here right now. Not like some people in this call, but like, I feel it. It's there. Okay. But yeah, no, it's video. So if we kind of go back to where I started all of this, I started out as a photographer in the car industry, and we were always separated, photographers and then videographers. And so like actually like getting into videography, it was a learning curve for me because I'm like, oh, why can't I just up the shutter speed if it's too bright out? You can, but you can't. And so it's simple, but it's not. I really
I
didn't
was
help
wondering
you.
that shutter speed when it's bright out. I gotta be honest with you. I did that the other day. It was
Yeah.
bright, and I didn't have any ND filters with me, and I was just like, I'm just gonna see what happens. And I cranked the shutter speed up. I couldn't tell a huge difference.
So I mean, yes, pretty much.
It wasn't real estate. I was filming somebody just like talking outside.
Yeah, as long as you're not going in for like any kind of cinematic movement to where you want 24 frames per second, to where you are going to have some of that motion blur and everything going on in there, and not try to look like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. You can
Okay.
crank it up if you need to.
Yeah, because I was like, oh shoot, I don't have my ND filters, and I was like, well, it's better than it just being totally blown out. So, okay, cool. All right, let's see some other questions. How's the DJI 3S shipping? I don't know. I haven't ordered one yet, but I'm about to. So I'll let you know if Franz or whoever else gets it.
Wait, hold up. Mark is trying to ask a question.
Mark, let's see.
The very address.
Mark, what's up, dog? Hold on. I just can't see. I can't see all these questions. Let me see. Getting away with buying any courses. What's DLABF.com? Let me know what problems you're having. We'll help you out, Mark. Or you can hit up support at DroneLaunchAcademy.com. And Kaylee is on there. Or you can just email me, David at DroneLaunchAcademy.com. Happy to help you out. Is it working for other people that are trying to get courses? Let me know.
What's in there?
All right. Let's see. Oh, Remy, did you order an Air 3S? Because if so, that would be encouraging. Someone else says they are shipping. That's good. Someone else asks, is it better to use a Mac or Windows for drone business? I think that depends on what you're doing. I'll say this. If you're doing mapping stuff, a lot of the higher end mapping software programs, photogrammetry that runs on your computer, they all require Windows. And they also require really nice graphics cards.
Mm-hmm.
If you are probably doing real estate or other sort of creative endeavors, I imagine Mac. I don't know. What do you use, Dom?
PC.
You use
Okay,
PC?
so yeah, PC. But I have a custom built from what is this? Puget Systems. But I think if you are going to do real estate and you are going to focus on a iPhone with your workflow as your video. So before a couple years ago, people would scoff at the people coming in with cell phones. But now the iPhone 15 and 16 has started producing some pretty amazing videos for real estate. I'm not talking about like your high-end listing stuff, but like your day-to-day real estate stuff. It's a lot simpler if you do use a Mac, just because you can move it to your iCloud and stuff like that. I don't know the whole iPhone thing because Android, but yeah, your workflow is a lot easier.
I saw that green bubble when I texted you. I didn't even know if I should text you the link to get on this call because I thought I don't even know if he's gonna be able to pull it up.
I can like your comment. I can like your comment now on messaging. So
okay, all right, nice. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so it looks like people are getting shipments of like the Air 3S and some other stuff. So cool. There's a good question from Alex. Alex Williams. How do you get into roof inspections as a licensed operator versus a roofing business who just supply a drone to a sales rep and send them on their way, no license or training?
So how I did it is I cold called. I would go to I literally would go to roofing offices and go in there and talk to them. But I shouldn't say cold calling because I would look up people on LinkedIn in that office. So I had a name to go in, and I acted the part. Now, granted, inside I was like all nervous and everything. But when you if you could walk the walk, if you will, or I'm butchering that saying. If you can act as if though you belong, most of the time you can get away with it. And I did that by researching who I was going to look for, who I was going to talk to, having a very clear understanding of what I was going to say to them. And I did a little bit of company history so I could, have something in my back pocket. And then I cold called. I would plan a route for the day in San Diego, and I would hit up as many of these roofing companies as possible. On the solar side, I already had my foot in the door because that's how I started this concept with Drone Quote. I was working at a solar company, and I just realized, how efficient it was. So once I realized that it was working well at that company and I started the business, then I did, I called up other companies, and I was able to utilize a little bit of my background to get in there. So that was a little bit easier for me, but the roofing side was harder. I did have to cold call.
And also just something you guys can probably already tell about Sinue. He is has no fear of talking to anyone. So Sinue will just, he knock on your door. He'll walk into your office. He'll cold call you. No problem. I tried to do some cold calls before the other day. I'll tell you what, if you ever want to avoid doing something, just tell yourself that you're going to do some cold calls, and you will literally find anything else to do but sit down and do those calls. It is hard. And I'm a generally pretty outgoing, extroverted person. And I was like, all right, time to call. Because we were doing like school curriculum stuff. And so I was like, let me just call some schools and see what's up and all that. So, and I'm like, oof, because then you sit down and you're like, well, I'm going to call them and what am I going to say? And what am I, because nobody wants to be cold called. So it's how do I start this conversation in a way that doesn't make this person hate me? And so I don't know if I'm the best at it, but what I found is if you just take more of I'm just looking to make intros, or I'm more just hey, I'm just doing some not trying to trick people. Hey, I'm just going to introduce myself. Take some of the pressure off rather than I'm trying to sell you something on this call, but just try to, hey, I'm just calling people in my area, trying to connect with businesses, build relationships, just want to introduce myself. That usually works okay. Or, hey, I'm just doing research on this. What do you guys use for XYZ or, whatever. The best way that I like to do it is just inviting people to be on podcasts, because then you just kind of hang out and talk, and it's much less pressure. That's not the best way to sell per se, but it's a good way to build sort of relationships and partnerships. But if you're doing cold calls and you're like me and you don't like doing them, what do you do you have good tips for if someone's trying to do that, how to get over the part about I just don't want to do it?
How bad do you want to succeed versus how bad do you want to fail? That's really what it comes down to. I knew if I don't go out and do this, then I may as well go back to work for the man, and my kids aren't going to eat. So
I guess if it gets to that point, yeah.
Yeah. So I just looked at it from the perspective of I cannot let the fear of somebody saying no to me hold me back, because the answer is already no unless I go out and try to get a yes.
I just need to get on a call with Sinue before I do any cold calls ever. I'm pump me up, man.
Do you remember?
It's hard for me
our
too.
Breakfast?
What's that?
What's that?
You remember the breakfast in Florida?
Yeah.
I called that agent.
Oh, you had no problem.
You had no idea that I was cold calling that agent.
No.
You're like, how did you find her? I'm like, look at the sign right there.
So Dom came to film this real estate media course. He flew to Florida, and we got an Airbnb and did it all at this Airbnb, and we were at breakfast. And he's like, yeah, I'll just call him. I'll call him right now. Call him up, talk to him, no problem. Because Dom knew how to talk, knew the industry. I could tell you were very comfortable in that context because you had talked to a bunch of real estate agents before. So maybe that's it too, just being more and more comfortable just in that industry, more exposure.
It does help in talking real estate talk. A lot of people now, whenever it actually comes down to me to help ease the mind of their sellers, they'll ask me, hey, what is the state of the industry right now? Because they know I see everything a month ahead of time. They're like, is stuff selling? Is stuff going? Are you busy? Are you slow? I'm like, oh no, I'm busy. I'm busy as hell. And so they're like, but it's also good to know different terms and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you speak their language.
I think that's another thing too. Because because like if we're calling, again, I'm just telling you guys, like that's just a new initiative we've been trying, is like school curriculum, right? Totally different customer than like drone pilots or construction companies or oil companies or what are these people I'm dealing with normally. You know, you call them school, I'm like, I don't know their world or like much at all. So I don't call them, be like, hey, you guys use drones? That's usually been my opening line. And they'll talk, which is fine. That usually breaks the ice a little bit. But I think that's why I get more nervous. So maybe for those of you who are calling into a new industry, maybe just going to more industry events and trying to get around those people as much as possible so you can understand them a little bit more.
So I want to add something to that. Earthman made a really good point. So one thing that I learned in sales is that in order to get a yes, I have to get a no. So I actually really like hearing no's because no's get me closer to my yes, right? So I understand how many no's I need in order to get to a yes. And at one point when I was doing a specific sale, it was 33 no's on average. So that I knew that every time somebody's telling me no, I'm like, oh, dear baby Jesus, thank you so much. I got one no closer to my yes. So it's all relative to your mindset, right? So that's a really good point.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, real quick, somebody had a question on here I want to address. There's a little bit of a shift in topic here, but I want to make sure I actually answer people's questions. I'm not trying to upset anybody if I miss your question, so I apologize. You can just ask it again. Can you program Mavic 3 Pro to do mapping? At the moment, no. Except the only workaround I've seen, which is not a great one, is you can do like program it to do waypoints, and you can just program the waypoints where you want, and then have it do like timed interval shots every like 2 or 3 seconds, which might be able to get you a result, but it's not going to get you like super consistent overlap. So it might be okay for like some intro mapping stuff, but it's not the best tool for doing like anything more significant. Mavic 3 Pro is really like a cinematography type drone. That's what its primary use is for. All right, sorry, I just want to answer that. Let me see if there's any other questions. Did you answer this one, Sinue? How often do roofing solar companies have an internal employee who flies versus hiring it out?
I did. I mean, really, it depends on the company. Smaller companies are less likely to have employees that are dedicated to that. They may have like an employee that does it on the side, if you will, but predominantly doing something else. The larger companies may have somebody, but we've had more success recently. Well, in the last like I'd say 18 months, roughly thereabouts, in picking up assessments from solar companies. And I think that has something to do with them not having an employee that they would have otherwise had. Though I got to be clear that it's speculation on my part because they're not giving me all the details, right? So, I mean, I guess it really depends. The smaller companies, you're less likely to have somebody doing it internally. I should say that.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to star the questions because there's a lot of comments in here, so I'm trying to see if I can get back to them. Another one. How advanced can you get with the DJI Mini 3 Pro? Any drone where you can do like decent photography, cinematography, and use it for mapping, I'm a big fan of, especially if you're like sort of at the beginning and you still maybe like trying to figure out what you like. So the Mini 3 Pro, I'm still here. My camera just shuts off. Mini 3 Pro, you can use it with Drone Link. Now they've made that available. And you can use it for other stuff. I haven't used it much for like the cinematography side. So I don't know if Dom, who just left, has used the Mini 3 Pro much, or if Sinue you've used it. I know people who have used it and they like it a lot. But again, I don't think it's not going to be like the best at any particular thing, but it's going to be like pretty good at a lot of things. Do you ever use the Mini 3 Pro, Dom?
The Mini 3 Pro is now our replacements for whenever we crash. So I have like 2 or 3 of them in a box right now, just in case.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I like we had the Mini 3 to replace the Air 2S, and I didn't really notice too much of a difference. I like to steal the Mini 3 so I could do vertical format stuff. But now the Mini 3 Pro, yeah, you can't really tell the difference between it. I don't use that for my luxury stuff. I still use the Mavic 3 Pro, but all my other photographers have a Mini 3 Pro.
Yep. Another question. What are your feelings on companies like ZiteView or Bees Pilot? I'm not sure if I've heard of Bees Pilot. I've heard of Bees 360. Maybe they changed their name. I don't know. The view that I have articulated publicly several times on webinars and stuff is that you should view these companies as them paying you to practice whatever it is that you want to do. You are never going to build like a legit business off of someone else doing 100% of your marketing and sales unless you're just like joining in with another company as sort of like an employee. But essentially, there's a whole big wheel that I made a really long YouTube video on like how to start a drone business 2024, whatever, and I articulate this a little more clearly there. But there's a whole lot of pieces that go into having a business, right? And
Mhm.
just collecting data with your drone is like one tiny sliver. And so that's all they're paying you to do is the tiny sliver of collecting the data. But there's so much more that just goes into having a business and providing a useful product and service to someone that they're trying to build their profit in and do all those other pieces. So to pay you and for them to make profit and them to pay you, like the actual value add that you're bringing into a situation like that is not super strong if you're just capturing a photo and then sending it on without editing or finding the client, selling to the client, marketing, customer service, providing the whole experience that you would as a business owner. So I just say view it as paid to practice. Basically, if you're new and you're starting off and you're going to be flying your drone anyways, and you see a job that comes up and it's close to you, go for it. Might as well make 50, $100, whatever they're paying to do your thing. But you're not going to make 70 or 80K a year just doing Zeit View and those drone what do
I
I call it?
started out with another company.
Yeah, but you what company was it? But you started off with like a real estate media company as a photographer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think that's almost a better way to go.
yeah, because
Yeah,
you learn, they train you.
yeah.
And so
So
that's
I would,
actually how I train all my people. Like I train my people to run their own business in the future whenever I just decide not take naps, or I mean only want to take naps, whenever I just want to quit.
yeah.
My whole goal is to get acquired by another company.
Mm. So if you're new and you're like, I just want someone else to feed me jobs, don't expect to get paid a ton for that because that's like the hard part is
Yep.
is like going out and building building your business.
Mhm.
But if you just want to learn, you can take those jobs or just go find another company and prove yourself to be a helpful asset to them. That's how Root got started. He went and worked for another guy doing real estate photos. That's how Root got started. And then he's like, oh, I can. And then he linked up doing some storm stuff, like he said, doing roof inspections through storms. And was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then he just kind of got in on that side. But again, start where you can. All right. Sorry, I'm going back down to the questions. Uh-oh, I just got bumped all the way to the bottom. Oh, I got knocked out of my order. Sorry. If you have a question, ask it again. I'm sorry. I'll throw this one up there. Start out a business with a Mini 4 Pro or 3S if you have to choose one. I choose a Mini 3 Pro because Mini 4 Pro isn't compatible with DroneLink. Neither is the 3S. So you can do mapping or cinematography. But I guess if your question is if you're going to start off a business just doing like real estate or cinematography or something that doesn't involve flight automation with mapping tools, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really done a side-by-side of a Mini 4 Pro versus 3S. So I can't really tell you. I don't know, Dom, if you have any. You like the Air 3S?
So I'm going off of Sam's comment also. Like, I don't have my guys shoot in vertical whenever it comes time for reels and everything like that. We just crop in, especially whenever it comes to drone, which is kind of nice. But what do you call that? I like the vertical format stuff for my own personal vlogging and everything for my adventure stuff with the Rivian and everything. So yeah, Air 3S is a little bit better because you could get higher quality photos and you can get also more of a zoom with the extra lens. They have an extra lens, right?
Which one? Which you talking about?
The Air 3S.
Yeah, it's got like a 2 focal
Yeah.
length. Yeah.
Now, Mavic Pro 3, the 70mm is, that's my favorite lens of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Sorry, Butch asked. I'm just scrolling up trying to find other questions that I might have missed. Okay, so Dom does real estate media courses, not mapping. So if you want to do like working with real estate agents or brokers or whomever, taking really nice looking pictures, really great looking videos, 3D tours, all the floor plans, all that stuff, that's what Dom's course teaches you. Gear, editing, all that. He does a house like start to finish in the course. Mapping is different. That's more for like working with like construction, engineering, or inspection work, things like that. So you can take the mapping fundamentals course that's completely separate from the real estate media pro course. So real estate media pro, no prerequisites other than just a willingness to learn and taking the time to do it.
The course is really set up for drone pilots who are ready to go inside.
Yes, it teaches you how to do it, because if you want to have a business, like, you're not going to have enough volume. I'll say this: I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years, and I've yet to see someone who only does drone work and only does real estate, drone photography, and video who has like consistent business. You have to just become like full real estate media in order to
I do know some people. I actually do know some drone pilots.
Okay.
That,
That's
a
all they
couple,
do.
handful, but they only do it as a part-time because they're retired and they're bored.
Sure. Yeah. Part-time. That's fine. I know people who do part-time, but as far as like, I'm going to make this a full-time business enterprise, I haven't seen that. So just to clarify there, the mapping fundamentals course is a prerequisite to the courses we are coming out with for mapping at the beginning of next year that are like more advanced on working with surveyors and ground control points and engineering plans, all that stuff.
Hey, Dave, I just got a text. I got to run.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah. Hey,
Thanks
everybody. Yeah,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you anyway. And
guys
also,
all
we should
take care.
wrap up. It's getting close, 9:45.
Take care, Vince.
Let's see. Maybe answer a couple more questions if we can, and then we'll. All right. Mini 4 not compatible with Drone Link. Where's DJI restricting it for compatibility? I think it's mostly on DJI side. They lock out from my understanding, they don't always open up the SDK, software developer kit, to allow those third-party companies to write the code to integrate with them. I think it could also be that sort of just Drone Link prioritizing which drones they're going to like work on integrating. I am not 100% sure, but from what I've heard, I think it's more on the DJI side, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we probably took it down because, again, like, we're redoing that course and turning it into several other courses. So we're not currently selling the Mapping Pro course. That'll come out probably January, February, but it's going to be called Advanced Drone Mapping and Modeling Program or something like that. I haven't figured it out exactly.
Fancy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to change it, make it different. And plus, it's going to be like 5 different courses. Let's see. A couple other questions, or is that it? Sorry if I missed your question. If you do have another question, feel free to toss it in again. I'm trying to scroll and look around.
If you guys have any other questions like after this, you guys could just reach out to me on Instagram if it pertains to real estate. I don't know mapping. I don't do anything else but real estate. And so
cool. Dom, here we go. We'll do this last one. Dom, how do you treat vacation properties versus home sales for pricing?
Okay. So vacation rentals and commercial properties like businesses and everything are $25 a photo. That's just what I do. Whenever it comes to actual 3D and everything, unless they're hosting it, then they get charged a lot. But I just found it a good happy median for $25 a photo, so that way, I get more money per photo, but at the same time, a lot of times they don't order a whole lot of photos, if that makes sense.
Cool.
So it still keeps me busy, but I don't do my other photographers do Airbnb more. I don't do them really myself because I'm not really artsy. I'm more of a business owner that has a camera than I am a photographer that runs a business. That makes sense.
Makes sense. All right. Will the mapping course be included if we get a course now, or is that a separate thing? We have the mapping fundamentals course that you can get now. I mean, I don't know what you mean by separate thing, Andrew. Mapping Pro course, I think it shouldn't be up there. If it's up there, we're gonna take it down. We're not really selling that one right now. Come back in February or January. All right. Dom does media on Instagram. Someone asked. You can always message us at Drone Launch too, and we can get you other people's like guests, like people from here. All right, last one. What is your dream of drones for mapping? I'd say probably the best all-around mapping drone right now that's affordable is like the Mavic 3 Enterprise with RTK. It's like $5-ish grand, and it does like really good work. That's what Root is using for his like survey clients. So that is a very good one. Also, if you have large stuff, the Wingtra, it's like pretty expensive, but it's pretty sick. It's fixed wing drone. It's got a super high res camera in it. You can map a lot of area very quickly. We use that in one of our construction courses coming up. Very cool. Not much less affordable. I think they're like 40 grand, but if you can have one without paying for it, then it's pretty sick.
I want to Inspire 3 so bad, but it's priced out. It's like $26,000.
Dang. Yeah. I mean, I guess
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I can write that stuff off. But I'm gonna do it one day.
you should. I mean, hey, if you're gonna use it, pretty sweet. All right. I keep seeing questions. I'm gonna answer this last one. All right. My thoughts on thermal drones is they're great if you are doing moisture penetration inspections. Like if you're doing like commercial, if you want to make money. My friend Jeff, he does moisture stuff. So like commercial roof inspections, seeing if moisture is getting under the roof material. I can't think of the words right now. Or on facades, like cracks getting in around there. He uses that, but he uses other tools too, right? He gets up there, he does like core samples and things like that. Thermal drones are also used for like public safety stuff. So search and rescue, firefighters, things like that. I haven't seen a lot of people saying like they're getting paid to do search and rescue. A lot of times they volunteer or like the fire department just has one. But commercially, they're used a lot for, looking at moisture in buildings. And it's good. You can have a whole career out of being like a building roof specialist engineer, specifically with moisture. But again, you got to learn more than just the drones if you're going to do that. And there's like other certifications you can get. But right now, Jeff, my friend Jeff, with all these storms, he's like crazy busy traveling all over the place with lots of good jobs. So, but I'll say, just again, like any business, he had a big slow period before this. And it was like, really, he was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if these bids are going to come through. And now I'm really stressing out. Now all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm making more money than I've like ever made. So sometimes just business is feast or famine, you know? All right. That's what I got. Thank you everyone so much for coming on. We're coming up on 2 hours here on this.
Thank you for reminding me. I was literally in bed.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
I was like, dude, hey, here's the link. I forgot to send you a calendar invite, but if you want to jump on here, it is. Oh, gotcha. Awesome. Well, thanks, Dom. And thanks everybody else for being on here. Feel free to shoot us any questions. Again, this is good till midnight. So another 2 hours on this. Just write down DLABF.com. And that should be up. Those promo codes this is the promo code, should be good until midnight Eastern time. So if you want the 60% off, go for that. If you are really struggling, thinking about it, you don't have to kill yourself too hard on it because it's going to be 50% off tomorrow. So not a huge difference, but it's just a little extra something for you guys.
Say bye.
Bye, doggos.
Is the cat over there? Is she over there? She is. Look at her.
You got a cat.
I have an office of animals. It's a farm.
Love it.
Okay, bye, guys.
Cool. All right. See you, everybody. Thanks.